I got this when I was in Savannah, Georgia, filming Halloween Ends.
Perfect.
And it's just a great cup. It's the perfect size. And then, of course, you know, he's
Very
there,
fitting. Very fitting.
still alive.
I love it. I love it. Well, Candice, welcome to Halloween Daily, where every day is Halloween. We appreciate you taking the time and hanging out with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I am always excited, as you might imagine, to talk to anybody who's been to actual Haddonfield and worked on one of these Halloween movies. Of course, we're huge fans, and we've been fortunate here at Halloween Daily News over the years to be able to interview many, many cast members from all of the different movies over the years. And so it's always a big deal to welcome yet another Haddonfield resident as another illustrious guest here. So obviously I'm excited, and I know our audience is super excited as well today.
Awesome.
And of course, we're going to be talking about Halloween Ends. But before we get into that, we always like to get a little bit of your origin story. And because we're Halloween Daily, we always try to look at everything through the orange and black Halloween lens. And so we always try to flash back to what is your earliest memory of the holiday itself, just of Halloween in your life. Did you celebrate growing up?
I did celebrate growing up. We lived in a fairly large house in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. So there
Oh, cool.
wasn't the road we lived on. There weren't a ton of trick-or-treaters. I went to friends' neighborhoods to go house to house, since our houses were kind of set so far apart. But we always had our pumpkin baskets and spread the candy everywhere on the floor. And it was just, yeah, it was great growing up. Halloween was big in my life. Getting together with friends and, being able to show your creativity with your costumes. And so, yeah. And also the reason I personally like Halloween so much is because it coincides with the fall, and I love the weather.
Yep.
I love the weather. I love the food. It's just a very comforting time. I'm not a real summer person, to be honest. I like it when it's a little cooler.
Yes. Yeah, I was gonna say I totally agree. I mean, yeah, summer's fine for what it is, but yeah, it's a little hot for me. I like the cool weather. I love fall. It's the best season, and of course we're biased, but Halloween's our favorite holiday, obviously.
Yeah.
Um, so you've celebrated. Is that your earliest memory? Then probably just having the candy spread out on the floor after trick or treating, or going out trick or treating at those other
Yeah.
neighborhoods, probably.
And also when my sister and I would gather all our candy together, we would make trades and go into each other's
Yes.
rooms and like buy something with candy that
Yes.
my sister didn't have, or that I didn't have, and we would buy stuff with the candy that we got because we got different stuff because we had different groups of friends,
Right.
and we would go, you know, um, in different groups to trick or treat.
And everybody always has their different favorites anyway, and so there you go. Everybody wins. Um, and then growing up, and then with your family, even today, or do you still look forward to Halloween? Do you celebrate
Well,
now? And
you know, I never had kids by
okay,
choice. And so Halloween kind of uh, fizzled out a bit for me. I think when you have kids, it's a whole different story.
sure.
I do love, when trick-or-treaters come to the door and to see their cute little costumes. And I personally love dressing up myself
Hmm.
because uh, that's the time for me to, you can wear anything, and
Yeah,
it's there's no judgment.
sure.
So one of my favorite costumes was
I was going to ask that. You're
oh yeah, it's I had this dog that was it was a purse, but it was a actual furry dog, and I wrapped the dog in toilet paper, and stuck my hair up about 2 inches just in the front there, and I was Mary in Something About Mary. That was such a fun costume.
That's great.
And I wore her exact outfit, and yeah, that was a blast. And then I was Dr. Seuss's Cat in the Hat, which was a fun, slick outfit with this massive hat.
Awesome.
So as in my older years, all of our friends, we all get together and go bar hopping with all our costumes on, and there's all sorts of shenanigans that we
Oh yeah.
get up to.
Yeah, it's the hot night to be out and about. Absolutely.
Yes.
And so that's your favorite costumes, I guess. Those two sound like
Those two for sure.
yeah. They sound, that's two good picks. I'd love to see that. And then we also always have to ask what your favorite candy is or treat, but your favorite candy.
Well, I love chocolate and peanut butter. So when they came out with those Reese's pumpkins, that was my favorite. Of course, candy corns back in the day, those little sugary morsels are delicious no matter what.
Yeah.
But as I've gotten older, I started to eat less sugar. So if I'm going to go for some Halloween candy, it's going to be probably dark chocolate. And if I can find some dark chocolate Reese's with the peanut butter in there, I'm good to go.
Yeah, I love some Reese's too. Almost any, but yeah, those pumpkins is something about the pumpkins for us.
Completely, yeah.
Again, maybe we're just biased, but they just taste better to us than any other version.
They absolutely do.
So obviously you've been into Halloween and so we can relate to that. And I love those costumes and those treat favorites as well. Shifting gears slightly though, or maybe not, because again, we talk to a lot of people, and like you said, it's that early experience of dressing up and becoming somebody different sometimes that leads a lot of people into more creative endeavors down the road, and it's kind of a very early window into that for a lot of the people that we talk to. So I don't know, with you, when did you start to realize that you wanted to be an actor and wanted to do this, just be a performer? Did you was it something that developed at a young age, or
it was?
When did you get into this?
Definitely was. I watched Mary Poppins probably, I don't know, maybe 50 to 100 times, and I loved the magic of the movie.
Yeah.
And wanted to test it out, so I got an umbrella. With my sister and I got an umbrella, and we decided to jump off a 6-foot brick wall to see if we could fly. And it's so absurd, but we did not, and it did not go well. But I realized that at a very young age, I was actually born when my parents lived in the W.C. Fields mansion in Los Feliz, California.
Oh, wow.
And so my dad was a forensic psychiatrist. My mom actually got her BA in speech and drama from Occidental College to be an actor. But she raised 3 daughters and never really had the chance to do that. So my dad was also a classical pianist. So we were always going to the opera and theater, and from a very young age, I always wanted to be an actor. Actually, I've got a video of myself being interviewed by my dad when I was about 10 years old on Instagram. And he says, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I say, "An actress."
Oh, man.
So I just followed through. I went to school in upstate New York so I could go into the city, into Manhattan, and see Broadway shows on the weekends.
Awesome.
I was in the drama club. I was in all the school plays. And then when I graduated high school in 1992, I went to a training program, a conservatory called Trinity Rep Conservatory in Providence, Rhode Island. And I studied acting, writing, directing, you name it, for 2 years there. And then I went to Manhattan and founded a theater company called the Mint Theater Company on 43rd and 8th Avenue. And just went from there. I joined SAG, the union, in 1997 when I got my one line on Law and Order. And
Nice.
so, yeah, it's acting has been my life. It really has been. But it's a tough business.
Yeah.
It is a very tough business, especially at a younger age, because the competition pool is so much wider. I think as you get older, when, you know, people start to realize that, maybe it's not going to happen, and it's easy to
Hmm.
give up. And
Yeah.
so when people fall out, I remain. And so
Yes.
I'll just, continue on. But I did take a 13-year hiatus,
Hmm.
which was necessary. I was living in Los Angeles and I was waiting for the phone to ring. I was defining myself by my acting career, and you just can't do that. You have to have other hobbies, other interests. And so I took the hiatus and came back with much more to give to my work.
Very
So,
cool.
yeah.
And you mentioned Law and Order, that being one of your first major roles. It sounds like what was another one of those early ones that maybe was really kind of notable for you, and like, okay, yeah, I'm on the right path.
I booked a guest star role on Jag. You
Oh,
remember
nice.
Jag?
Yep, I do.
And I played a lieutenant requesting sanctuary at the base because my husband was um, beating me and my daughter. And so that was a pretty big role. I shot that for 8 days in the Valley. And I played a hooker, a a sex worker on strong medicine. Yeah, strong medicine.
Hmm.
Strong medicine? Pretty sure strong medicine. Um, and so I just kept booking very small roles. I played a homeless woman opposite Craig T. Nelson on The District. I started out doing character work
Hmm.
because um, that was like, a niche, and I still to this day am very versatile in the
Hmm.
roles that I play. I do, some gaunt white trash, fentanyl addicted. I love I love to play those kinds of meaty roles instead of
Yeah.
just straightforward stuff. And so um that's been really fun. I recently booked a project in New Mexico. It was postponed. I don't know if it's due to financing or what, but and that is an incredible role that I'm excited about. And I had an in-person callback with Ethan Cohen for another one of
Oh,
those real white trash roles that I love to play. Because I don't
yeah.
present like that, but
Right.
without any makeup, and watch out. I'll black some teeth out and I'm good to go.
There you go. Awesome. And of course, another role that we've got to talk about on your road to Haddonfield, you had another notable stop in another famous fictional cinematic town that we all know in Hawkins, and with
Yeah.
Stranger Things,
Yeah.
season four, playing Chrissy's mom in season four. And I was thinking about it, that how in some ways similar to that role, and then you later on play Jeremy's mom in Halloween Ends, and how there are some similarities there, obviously. But can you talk to us a little bit about, because I mean, season four, I mean, the show is huge. It's like, I mean, it's been huge for a while now. It's crazy how long it's been around when you think about it, but it's so big. And so going into it in season four, um, what was that like, getting involved with that whole world and that franchise, and just stepping into that, and then to play such a, it's a few scenes, but there some very intense and memorable scenes.
Yeah, I honestly, I watched the first season of Stranger Things, and I'm not really into sci-fi, but I enjoyed it. And then I started to watch the second season, couldn't really get into it. And then when I booked the role, I watched one, two, and three, just to make
Right.
sure I knew what I was getting myself into. And it really is such a great show.
Yeah.
I was in makeup for 6 hours for the monster character.
Right.
And keep in mind, this was right after COVID. I
Right.
literally
Hmm.
auditioned in April of 2020 for this via my home and did not book it formally until October and began shooting, I believe, in November of 2020. So because I had so much makeup on and they had my eyes were completely whited out. They had two of the crew were walking me everywhere because I couldn't have a mask on because of the makeup, and everyone was supposed to wear masks. So
Right.
they
Hmm.
said, uh, unmasked actor walking, unmasked actor walking.
So it was
And
like,
I looked over and saw Lucas, the character, and
uh-huh.
he did a double take. He was like, the heck? And the kids are growing up so
Yeah.
much. They're all so tall from, I mean, it's really, it was, it was an incredible experience. And I met Matthew Modine in the makeup
Yeah.
trailer. Um, and it was, just to be a part of something so big. I'm pretty satisfied with the Halloween franchise and Marvel's She-Hulk. And like, as an actor, if I never book anything again, I it it won't kill me because
Yeah.
I feel like I've been solidified in history.
Yeah. I mean, as trifectas go, that's a pretty good triple
After
feature
a
there,
hiatus, definitely.
to step into those three worlds for sure.
And I feel
And
like after the
mhm,
hiatus, I was older. Like it was 13 years. It was
sure.
2018 when I got back in, and
Hmm.
I had other things going on in my life. So it wasn't the end of the world if I didn't book something. So in the audition, the casting directors, producers, they can smell that desperation. If you've got
Yes.
other stuff going on in your life and this is not, the end all be all,
Hmm.
then you're going to relax and have more fun
Yeah.
in your auditions. And so I was on a roll for a little bit there and had some momentum going, which was exciting. But they were
And
all characters though. I mean, they were
yeah.
all real characters.
Oh,
Character.
definitely.
So
Definitely. Yeah.
that's up my alley.
Yeah, and like you said, not just background. They were all, I mean, again, it might have been small screen time, relatively speaking, but very kind of pivotal characters and important to the main characters in the show, um, and in each of
Yeah,
those
working
cases,
with the
and the
Duffer
film.
Brothers was amazing. They
Oh
both
yeah.
had masks on and they both look very similar, so I couldn't tell who was who.
Yeah, I forgot that it was. Yeah, it's crazy again how quickly we forget. But yeah, that would have been, like you said, right in the thick of everything, where every set it was
And the
mandated. And
COVID testing, it was so scary
hmm
because all actors had COVID backups. So if you
like if
like, I was
somebody,
paranoid to be around crowds because booking a job is so difficult in the first place.
oh
It's
yeah,
so hard to book a job because you're up against hundreds of other actors
right.
from all over the world.
Hmm.
And I could not get sick. And anytime I had a tickle in my throat, I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna lose
Yeah,
this job.
right.
But I somehow I never got it. I did get it at the end of another horror film that I did called
Mm,
The Unseen when I was playing opposite RJ Mitty.
yes.
Um, Not the best horror movie, but it was awesome working with RJ Mitty. And and it was another horror film because Halloween Ends was my first.
Hmm. Well, and I guess that's a good segue. We can move into that because yeah, it,
Sure.
it wasn't, I guess, too far after Stranger Things that Halloween Ends would come along. And again, I mean, our viewers are well aware that this is the third film in this recent trilogy and
Yeah.
13th film total in this just
40
unkillable
years
legacy franchise. I mean,
or 45
it's
years.
yeah, yeah, over that now, 46 now as of this one. So yeah, it's yeah, and no end in sight for sure. But no pun intended. Uh but so walk us through getting that project and getting involved with Halloween Ends. I mean, I imagine there was an audition process. How did all of that go?
This is interesting. So, we have actors have agents, they submit us to projects. We also have access to actors access.
Hmm.
And it is a where all of our headshots are on there. We get submitted through to casting directors from our agents on actors access, but you can also get on there or get alerts sent to you when a character fits your description.
Okay.
And I got a notification about a character by the name of Mrs. Mead in a project called Cave Dweller. And I thought, well,
Okay.
it says SAG scale +10, and it is a feature film,
Hmm.
and David Gordon Green is directing it. So I thought, I'm going to submit to this. Well, I happened to be in Atlanta at the time filming Ordinary Joe for NBC,
Hmm.
and I got this audition. And I had no idea what it was. I just knew that it was uh I knew it was a horror film and
Hmm.
but they were dummy sides.
Yeah.
And so there wasn't a lot of background. I channeled my mother. She used to get really irritated when me or my sister would put a wet towel on a wooden door or a wooden chair. She would lose it. And so when I had to scream, "What have you done?" I kind of channeled my mother. I've got these favorite curtains in my bedroom. They're gorgeous blue with um, gold piping through them, and they're just absolutely stunning. So I just decided that I had left the babysitter at my house to babysit, which was the case.
Hmm.
And when I got back home, this babysitter had spread shit all over, literal shit all over my curtains. And I lost it. And I said, "What have you done?" And I had no idea what it was going to ultimately be.
Hmm.
It gave us no background.
Hmm.
So I had to create that backstory
Yeah.
for myself, which obviously had nothing to do with reality of what was in the movie. Um, And then also I don't have kids. So when I at one point was chasing my son, I was saying I added in, "I'm gonna get you, I'm gonna get you," because I do have dogs. And I run behind them and chase them and say, "I'm gonna get you, I'm gonna get you." But so after the audition, I reached out to my manager and I said, "I got a call back for this movie. It's called Cave Dweller. I'm just letting you know." And he said, "Do you know what that is?" And I said, "No." He said,
Hmm.
"That's the Halloween franchise." And I was like, "Oh my gosh." I I died. I died. And I wish he hadn't told me before the callback because it was with David Gordon Green. And then I knew all about, what was
Right.
happening. So I had the callback and everything went well. I screamed, "What have you done?" And David said, "Okay, I want you to do that one more time, and I want you to do it straight into camera."
Hmm.
So I did it straight into camera, and now I see why they wanted me to do that. Because I
Yes.
had that terror in my eyes with the shit on the curtains. And it was very real for me.
I
And
love it.
ended up booking it, and the script was completely different, but it was great because of COVID.
Mhm.
And I was in Atlanta. They didn't want me to go back and forth from Atlanta to Savannah, so they put us up in a hotel for 2 weeks because of COVID.
Yeah.
And I got to explore Savannah, which was pretty awesome. It's
It's
beautiful
nice.
there.
Hmm.
And I had never done a film before. This was my first film. I'd done
Hmm.
mostly TV and procedurals, episodics. And
Hmm.
so when we got there, we met all of us together. It was very collaborative, and he sat us in a room, me and Rowan Campbell
Hmm.
and my husband, Jack, and we rehearsed and talked about the characters. And but it was interesting because David didn't share anything. He
Hmm.
said to me,
Yeah.
no one, including the producers, knows how this movie ends.
Nice.
He said, me and Paul,
Hmm.
the other writer, and Danny McBride, of course,
Yeah.
know how it ends, but no one else does. So I part of me wishes I had seen a little bit of the script because I didn't realize that Corey was alienated by the entire town. And
Hmm.
I was, after those 3 years, when I'm still wearing that same costume after
Yeah.
my child is gone,
Hmm.
um, I didn't realize I was just one of the pieces of, you know, one of the
Right.
people alienating him.
Right.
Um, so I didn't sleep. I was okay. The house scene, the opening scene, like I was good to go with that.
Yeah.
Ready to rock and running around, and that was totally fun. And the outfit was great. And
Yeah.
everyone on the crew team, the makeup, everyone was so thrilled to be there and so professional. It was just an amazing experience. But I did not sleep a minute before the day that I had to film that scene in the bar, because
Yeah.
that monologue, I didn't really know, I didn't really know a lot. And David had a lot of different things in mind. He had me do it like a monster. He had me do it like uh we did several takes, and I'd gotten there at 5:30 in the morning, and we weren't shooting that scene until about 8 o'clock at night. And there were so many extras, so they were rushing. And
Yeah.
David, to be quite honest, I don't think was getting what he wanted from me. So he had the mask on, and he came up to me at one
Yeah.
point and he started yelling at me to show me how intense he wanted me to be. And it was very scary,
I
but
bet.
he's super nice and wonderful. But man, his eyes dug into my soul.
Yeah.
So it
And
was pretty intense, that whole scene. And the loud music, he had us listen to
yeah.
that song that was playing. He
Hmm.
had us get familiar with it
Hmm.
before we shot it.
Hmm.
And it was mayhem.
Well, it is an intense scene, and it's one of my favorite parts of the movie. When we see your character again in that scene, and she confronts Corey, and it's just, it's just, and it's just we're at this point we're feeling for Corey because we don't know how to feel for him through a lot of the movie, but at this
I
point we're
know.
kind of rooting for him, and we want him and Allison to maybe, this to work out maybe, and
I
but
know.
but
And
but
I
at the same
had a bit
time
of a
you're bringing it back to what it would feel like in her shoes, I think.
and honestly, I had a bit of a struggle because not having read the script, I
Right.
didn't know you know, that it was probably an accident. So as an
Right.
actor, I and Rowan is such a nice guy. He's such a sweetheart. I, as an as a person, I
Mhm.
had a hard time separating myself and yelling at him because I liked him so much and he was such a sweet babysitter.
Yeah.
So I mean, he killed my child. So you know, but at the same time, I really did have a hard time separating that. And I had a hard time getting angry. And I
Mhm.
think that's why David came up to me and just drilled it into my head that I am evil. So, you know, I hope I did it justice, but I always questioned that. And I questioned it for weeks after I did it. I thought, oh my God, how is this going to look? I hope not. I just didn't want to disappoint him. He was the last
Mhm.
person I wanted to disappoint.
Well, and there is that whole thing going on in the movie. That's kind of the underlying theme is that, Haddonfield and this evil, and whether it's Michael Myers literally or not, kind of the this overriding spirit, it's
Right.
just infectious almost throughout the whole town. And I do think it's kind of your character that verbalizes that and shows that, maybe more than the others, and you kind of get that, but at the same time, like, it's a little bit more understandable from your character's point of view than even some of the others that are just purely speculating on this and that. I mean, you were there, and she saw what she saw, and yeah, accident or not, it's going to be hard, I think, as a parent myself, just to it'd be hard to accept that even as an accident. You want somebody to blame and to
Responsible.
hate, and if it can't be Michael Myers because he's supposedly gone, you know, I kind of get what they were going for, and what the underlying thing is that hate and anger would have to go somewhere. It'd have to find some outlet, and yeah, poor Corey, but it's
I know.
that's just a larger symptom, I guess, of the boogeyman, and the whole Haddonfield um response to it in that film. And it is there. I've said that film, while it is very, of course, divisive among fans, and as many of the
Yes, it
films
is.
are, that's nothing new. I mean, but
Everyone
I,
has
for
an
one,
opinion.
oh yeah, absolutely, and they will. But I said the first time I watched it, and I still stand by it, it'll be one that will be dissected more and more over the years. And I do think appreciation for it will continue to grow just because of the subtext that we're talking about. That, and some of it's not even subtext, some of it's there, but there is a lot of just themes that maybe weren't quite verbalized, but they're there if you're looking and want to go there. I mean, you don't have to. You can just take it as a typical slasher too. But and I think your Jeremy and your character's story
Yeah.
in that is definitely a big part of that. Um,
And I had
but
no idea I opened up the film either. Like I didn't
right,
know I opened up the film and
yeah,
David wanted a huge smile at the very beginning there. Like he was very specific about the smile that he wanted. He's
yeah,
like, I want a big smile. So I was like,
yeah. Well,
as
it's
big as I
perfect.
could go.
And like you said, you kick off the film, you welcome us into this,
Yeah,
final chapter, at least of this
so
trilogy.
cool.
And yeah, I mean, and instantly you're in these scenes that among this franchise are going to be, as we're talking about, they're going to be talked about forever, like all of these movies have been
And it's
over the
gotten
years.
me more excited about the Halloween um season
Yeah,
because I'm doing like I did HorrorCon. I'm
yeah,
doing a horror fiesta where I'm going to sign autographs, and I just I find the fans to be they're so passionate,
yeah.
and I love that they come with posters. And I signed casts. I signed people brought the Halloween coffee table book,
Hmm.
which I'm in, and that's so
Yeah,
cool. I actually
that's
got
a great.
Jesse C. Boyd. I cast him. He played Officer Mulaney in Halloween Ends. I actually cast him in a movie I recently produced called
Oh, nice,
Gaia. And
cool.
he was at Halloween 45 in Pasadena, and he got everyone to sign that coffee table book for me. And he brought it when he came. He actually came to Chicago, where I was shooting this film to play a part, and he brought me the book.
Oh man, that's awesome.
It's
I love it.
awesome. He is tremendous in everything he does. So, yeah, and so now I'm going to get to see everyone at these conventions,
Yeah, that's what
and
mhm.
it's a joy.
I was gonna say, now you're gonna be seeing more of your co-stars. I'm sure as the years continue and
Yep.
conventions continue and appearances and
Yep, and I wanted to make it
reunions and
really
all that
exciting.
stuff.
I wanted to make it really exciting for the fans too. So
Yeah.
I got onto AliExpress, which is overseas, and I found the exact costume that I wore in the
Oh,
film,
awesome.
the exact headpiece, the everything is exactly the same. And when I go to these horror conventions, I full on dress up in the costume
Oh, I
because
love it.
number one, it's fun for me. And number two, it's definitely fun for the fans too, because they know right away who
Yeah.
I am if they're, if they're a Halloween fan.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
It's so great.
Yeah.
And
I think you've immortalized that costume now, like anybody that does that costume now, they're gonna think of Halloween Ends, I think now.
yeah, yep, for
Immediately.
sure, for sure. And I've got it. Uh yeah, I got all the pieces. So I'm doing Horror Fiesta, which is going to be in Peoria, Illinois, on September 14th.
Okay.
And so I'm gonna put it on and
Awesome.
go meet some fans. I love the fans.
Yeah.
They're just they're you know they have such a such passion and love for the Halloween franchise and anything spooky. And
Yes.
I'm not into scary movies because it stresses me out
I
when
was
I
gonna
have
ask that too.
jump. Oh, well, I mean, one of my favorite movies, it's not really a spooky one, but it's Stephen King's Misery, 1990.
Yeah. Hmm.
When I got out of that movie,
Yeah.
I had chocolate, raisinets, and Reese's peanut butter cup all over me because that was such a scary film. I like also that Halloween Ends was it was more of a psychological thriller. It wasn't like
Definitely.
scary.
Hmm.
As it's it's more mind
Hmm.
messing with your mind, which is fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
A
There's a lot
thrilling
to
part of
think
it.
about in there, and like I said, a lot to be discussed and that can be taken. And I foresee many discussions over the years. This is just one of the many to add to that. And I wanted to ask you. Mentioned you're not generally a huge scary movie fan. What about the Michael Myers movies and the original Halloween?
The
What was
original
your
78,
relationship to
obviously.
that? You
Yes.
had seen it. Had you seen any
Yes.
of the sequels? Were you at all like a fan or anything of Michael Myers prior to working on Halloween Ends?
I mean, Michael Myers, you know, I there's the Michael Myers and then there's Freddy Krueger and Michael Myers has always been a very spooky character and I think that it started in I was born in 74.
Mhm.
So I did watch it probably not when I was 4, but I
Okay.
watched it a little later and that stuck in my head and I love seeing all the videos where they'll have all these the Michael Myers mask driving in the car and
Yes.
then they'll turn around to the
Oh
person
yeah.
next and the person's like, ah, because it's a very scary
Hmm.
um it- it's just it's a very scary face.
Hmm.
Um, and it's something, that you can lose sleep over.
Totally.
And that outfit and just everything.
Absolutely.
But yeah, but I didn't watch any of the Rob Zombie. I didn't
Right.
watch. Um, but I remember the original, and then of course when I got cast in
Yeah.
in the trilogy, I watched the first two, which I thought were
Sure.
fantastic.
Yeah.
I loved it. I love
Hmm.
Jamie Lee Curtis is just incredible and her journey to watch that. That's just it's it was truly um a gift to be a part of this.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's made me excited about the Halloween season every year now. So,
Well, and that's because now you're part of it. You're part of the franchise legacy, and that is, of course, synonymous with the the holiday itself, and so
Yeah.
it all goes together, and that's us here. You know, we love that franchise, obviously, and we love all things Halloween.
And I
And
know another studio is going to pick it up and do it
oh,
again. I
sure,
mean, that's just how it goes.
yeah,
But the way he died,
yeah,
I thought that was pretty
yeah,
final.
yeah,
So
pretty,
we'll
yeah,
see how he comes back again.
yeah. How he's reimagined and rebooted next. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
because he can't
inevitable,
go away forever.
right?
Everyone, like, it just doesn't, it won't happen. He will never die.
Yeah, and like we always say, I mean, he's beyond just a movie character. He's like Dracula and Frankenstein, or
Absolutely.
Superman and Batman. You know, they're going to get
Absolutely.
constantly have different directors, different visions, different actors, and it'll be fine because they're never going to completely go away ever. Like, and he's one of them now. Um,
Right.
you know, and so we anxiously await the next reinvention. We're always for it. We
I'm
love
sure
all the
you
different
do.
versions. We always say that this is a choose your own adventure franchise. You can literally pick, okay, tonight I'm going to watch parts 1, 4, and 5 and stop there, and tonight I'm just going to do the original part 1 and 2, and tonight I'm going to do one and then jump to 2018 and do those three. And so
It's
there's
great.
endless possibilities of how you can enjoy these films, or you could do
Yep.
like we do and just watch them all the time.
Yep. And I
And
didn't realize until I did this film how many friends I have that are obsessed with Halloween.
yeah,
I have some friends that wouldn't watch it because they don't watch scary movies, but they watched, the clips on my demo reel. And they were like, that was good enough. But they're so, you know, I went the day it opened, October 14th in
mhm,
theaters, and I went and sat in the theater with my boyfriend and some friends, and everyone in the theater just, they were going crazy, and it was so cool to be, and it was just so big,
yeah.
and it's so fun to see something come to fruition that you're doing in little parts.
Mhm.
How they put all that together on the screen is just mind-blowing.
And I wanted to ask that what your initial reaction was to seeing the finished film, because you mentioned how you were surprised about a lot of things that you didn't know when you were filming your
Right.
scenes. What was your initial reaction to seeing Halloween Ends for the first time?
Gosh, honestly, I don't think that my boyfriend of 15 years, I don't think that he knew the how big the part was.
Yeah.
He's not an actor. He's not even in the artistic community at all. Um, he works in manufacturing, and so when I went to film this, uh, it was just seeing him. I looked over at him, and he was like, and so just seeing his reaction just warmed my heart. And the movie posters were out there. We were taking pictures, and then these people behind us figured out that I was Mrs. Allen, and they went crazy. And the manager of the movie theater found out somehow and came out and wanted pictures and wanted me to sign posters, and that was super fun. It's
That's awesome.
it's just it's a joy to make people happy and excited and entertained. That's why we do it.
And we've hit on it, but I mean, now you're a part of this 46-year and counting legacy of Michael Myers and the Halloween films. And as we've said, it's never going to completely go away. I mean, right now they've got video games coming. There's a TV series in development, we've heard, and there'll be
Amazing. I heard
movies
that too.
eventually too. So, um,
And I didn't die, so you never know.
well, and we always have to ask, because fans, they want to know, like, if you got that call. I mean, like you said, your character, she's still out there, so there's
He's still
there's
out
that.
there.
And this is a franchise where sometimes they've brought actors back as new characters every now and then, and we see that. So I guess would you be open to returning to Haddonfield if
Oh
the
my
opportunity
gosh, of
arose?
course. I would run. I wouldn't walk, I would run. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. And just being a part of, like I said, this massive legacy, that's got to feel rewarding. But going back to those childhood thoughts of I want to act, I want to do this, I
Yeah.
want to, and now it's it's a bit of immortality because these films, I mean, they're around forever, and like I said, fans like myself, we rewatch all of them. We all have our favorites, but it doesn't matter. We're going to rewatch the ones that even aren't, favorites. You're going to rewatch them all, and they just never go away. So
It was
has
so
that hit
satis
you that you're
yes,
truly a part of that?
it's honestly so satisfying that this is going to sound really morbid, but I would be okay if I died tomorrow because I am so satisfied with what I've done just in the last 3 years as an
Yeah.
actor. Um, and I don't have kids to worry about. So, if something happened and I died, like I'm okay with it because I'll be with my parents. They both died. I've been orphaned. And I'll be with my dogs who died. And I'm not afraid of death, but especially like after doing something like this so major, I'd be okay with it. It's that satisfying.
Awesome. Well, I mean, again, I love the film and I love your work in it, and I know the
Thank
fans
you.
are going to enjoy meeting you at these appearances that are coming up, and I know there's going to be many more to come. Um,
Yeah.
Before we go, we got to mention just a little bit about She-Hulk too, because um, of course, I watch all the Marvel shows and everything. I'm a fan of those as well, and I like the She-Hulk show. I loved how she would break the fourth wall.
Wasn't that
Um,
fun? I
and,
can't
and
believe they didn't continue it for a second season.
I know. I'm
Ah,
I'm shocked. We'll talk about other characters that are still out there. I mean, your character, Aunt Melanie, right?
Aunt
I think,
Melanie.
yeah, yeah. So she's in the MCU now. You're in the Haddonfield world. You're in the MCU. You're in the Hawkins world, and
Unbelievable.
and
Truly.
technically, like you said, you're still out there. Your characters are, as we speak, still alive and well out there in each of these worlds. Can you speak a little bit about that? Joining the MCU on this innovative show, and it seemed like a fun role to be playing. She seemed like a kind
It
of a
was,
fun
and it was
character.
also during COVID as well. So
Yeah.
they had moved from masks to clear shields
Oh, the full yes.
that didn't mess up your makeup because
Right.
Aunt Melanie was, very
That's right. Of
fancy with her makeup and her jewels and her, she was
course.
she was a fun character to play. And again, those were dummy sides. You know nothing.
Yeah.
You don't even know it's Marvel when you're
That's
auditioning. Um, and so working with Tatiana Maslany, oh, she's just a
she's great.
dream come true. Um, Kat Coiro, the director, and it was, I mean, it was an amazing experience as well. And that was also shot in Atlanta. That's where all my work is, it
Yeah.
seems. They're doing so much, and it's all in Fayetteville, Georgia. And at Trilith Studios, they're doing everything Marvel. And
That's awesome.
it was Aunt Melanie was a real character. They cut out some stuff. They cut
Mhm.
out one of the episodes, one of the what they cut out my part in one of the episodes. I was supposed to be in 3 episodes. I ended up being in two. But
Oh,
I loved meeting Charlie Cox,
yeah.
Daredevil.
Hmm.
Mark Ruffalo was the sweetest guy in the world. Absolutely enjoyed meeting him. He was just such a normal person. Um, so that experience was crazy, and I'm friends with everyone that in the family, in the She-Hulk
Hmm.
family. Nicholas Cirillo was Ched, and he
Yeah.
was my son. and he's in everything now.
He was hilarious.
Oh, he's hilarious.
Hmm.
Just the whole family was very charactery, but there were some
Hmm.
things that were supposed to be in there that were cut out that were pretty major that I probably can't talk about,
I was
but
gonna say
I'm
anything
I'm
you could tell
hoping.
us.
I mean, it was, a super secret. When we were on set, they were like, no one can know about this. The actor that was playing this part that never came to fruition didn't even know the part that he was playing. They keep
Oh
everything
wow.
so secret.
Yeah.
And you have to sign all these NDAs. And do you know how hard it is as an actor to keep things quiet? Because you're so excited. You want to share the news, but you can't.
Hmm.
So the NDAs, for the Marvel Universe and for the Halloween franchise and for Stranger Things, I think as Candice Rose had a very tough time keeping my mouth shut. And that was, because you get so excited, you just want to scream it to the world.
Yeah.
But I think as, I had taken that 13 years off, and I think as I get back into doing more stuff, it's just going to be my job. And so that's my job. It's not, you know, it's not, you know, eh, booking a job is so exciting, and then sharing it with people is even more exciting. But when you have to sign an NDA, it's like, boring.
So no deleted scenes for us today. Maybe eventually
Not today, I'm afraid.
yeah, maybe someday they'll get you revealing those on DVD release or something.
Yeah,
But I was gonna say you also kind of got to flirt with Daredevil a little bit there. I
I
think
did.
if I remember right.
Yep. He was sitting at the picnic table at the last scene. I believe that
Hmm.
was the last episode.
Hmm.
And he is a pleasure. He was talking about how he does cold plunges, and he's got, two kids, and they live in England, and he's pretty amazing and so
Yeah.
down to earth
Yeah.
and so soft-spoken but funny. Um, you know, and then Tatiana was incredible. I don't know if you've seen
Hmm.
Orphan Black, but she is
Hmm.
truly,
Yeah.
I mean, and Perry Mason, and I mean everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was in good company, and I
Yeah.
feel very fortunate to have it was crazy when I auditioned for She-Hulk. I did it in my house,
Hmm.
and it was only about 6 lines for Aunt Melanie. And
Hmm.
then I decided to go out of town. And I went out of town, but it was about a 6-hour drive where we were going for the weekend. It was a Saturday morning, and I get a call back for what I didn't know was She-Hulk at the time. And I'm like, honey, we need to drive back because I need to put on my same outfit. I need my hair dryer that does my hair this certain way.
Hmm.
And we spent one night of our little mini weekend vacation and came right back Saturday morning. I filmed it. They wanted it by 5 o'clock that day, and they had more lines. They wanted to see if I could do more.
Yeah.
And so I did it, um and then ended up booking it and was super excited. But it was all during COVID. Like everything I booked was mask wearing, and I was constantly in fear of getting COVID
Yeah.
and losing
Hmm.
my life's work, what I've worked for my whole life.
Yeah. I believe it. Yeah, I would be the same way. I mean, I mean, like you said, just being scared of getting a cold that could affect things
Oh,
much less during COVID. I mean, yeah,
I mean, they
I'm
have
the same way.
replacements. They have replacements. I have a
I believe it.
girlfriend living in Los Angeles, and she just booked a major role on a big show, and she got COVID, and they
Oh
replaced her.
man.
And she
Mm,
is devastated.
I'm sure. Yeah.
And it's coming
Yeah.
back again. I mean, there are new
Yeah.
booster shots
I
available.
know.
Like I want one today.
Right. Yeah.
Now that I'm 50, I turned 50 in January. Now that I'm
Oh.
50, I hopefully can get one, because when I was like 47, 48, I was doing those shows. Like I couldn't get a booster shot yet, or not a booster shot. The what's it called?
Another vaccine.
Yeah, another vaccine. Well, it's a booster, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. The booster,
Anyway, so
like a flu shot. Like you're, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm ready to get that again because I'm auditioning and things are starting to get really busy now. So I got on this holiday weekend, I have 3 auditions I have to film.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I
Super.
wanted to ask that too about upcoming stuff. I mean, you mentioned a project you're producing. I mean, if you can tell us about that if you want to, and
Yeah,
any
sure.
other upcoming projects.
It's called Gaia.
Okay.
The Instagram handle is Gaia
Okay.
underscore MMA underscore film. It's an MMA film. It's about
Wow.
a female MMA fighter who gets injured in a big fight and has to decide to continue to fight or to go home and support her family. I play her mother. I have an autistic child and another daughter, and she has to make that tough decision. We've got an incredible cast with John Hugenacker, Rebecca Spence, Christian Stolte from Chicago Fire, and other things. Jesse C. Boyd. We've got Cullen Moss is in it from Outer Banks,
Yeah.
and he was just in Your Honor. I mean, I started as an actor in this movie and ended up raising money and casting several of the roles. And turns out this is crazy. Turns out Cullen Moss and I went to grade school together, and he was a year behind me. I reached out to him on Instagram, not
Hmm.
knowing that, and he found me on Facebook and said, saw that we had a lot of friends in common, like 32. And he's like, I was a year behind you. And I'm like, what? And then I saw his sons. He has 2 sons, and I remember him through his sons' faces, which is interesting. But anyway,
Wow.
so he flew to Chicago. We flew him to Chicago and Jesse C. Boyd, and
Cool.
it's going to be an incredible movie. It's right now in post-production, and
Okay.
it we will be submitting to the big film festivals like South by Southwest and Tribeca and Sundance, and all the big ones.
Yeah.
So that will come out in probably at the beginning of 2025. We'll run the festival circuit as soon as we're
Hmm.
done. We've got about another month of post production, but that's exciting. And then I
Yeah.
just filmed. I, it's a streaming service that Elon Musk's sister owns, and
Okay.
her name is Tosca Musk. It's called Passion Flicks, and they take a lot of romance novels and they turn them into movies and TV shows. So I was cast as the mother, and that again was in Atlanta. So
Yeah.
I just finished shooting that. It was really fun.
Hmm.
And now I'm getting some big auditions coming through, and I'm eager to get my next job. Um, but I'm also super excited about the horror cons coming up.
Yeah.
That's gonna
Absolutely.
keep me busy, and also the ratings go up, and everything. I have friends that will take a whole Friday night and watch a bunch of Halloween movies, and they're
Hmm.
like, "We're watching Halloween Ends," and it's so fun.
Yes.
And people from grade school saw me in it. I had so many people reach out and say, "I cannot," people I hadn't heard from in eons,
Hmm.
and they reached out and said, "I was sitting in the theater," and I'm like, "That is not Candice Rose." Holy,
That's cool.
it is. So yeah,
That's
it
really awesome.
is amazing.
Yeah. And I love hearing that you're enjoying it and really getting fulfilled from it and getting all these positive vibes because, I mean, that's what we feel as, fans when we get to, meet you guys. I mean, I say all the time that, we like to consider ourselves journalists here at Halloween Daily News and
Yeah.
report the news as accurately. But I don't hide the fact I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan, and when we get to have these conversations like this, I mean, it's a huge privilege for me. And
Oh, it's a
and and
privilege for me too. You're, so well-rounded in the Halloween world, and it's a joy to meet someone
yeah,
like you. So I appreciate, you having me on and talking about everything. And,
absolutely,
thank you for your support, truly,
absolutely, absolutely.
because we
And
wouldn't be here without you. So
well, again, my pleasure. And again, the door's open now. You're welcome here and
Thank you.
anytime. And I'm sure we'll do it again at some point and maybe talk about some of these more upcoming projects down the road.
Sure.
Because we're definitely fans. We're going to be watching. We'll be following along.
And it's
I followed.
interesting when you book a horror film, then you get I have other horror films coming up.
I
Like
bet.
I have one that I'll be shooting next summer that is they're saying it's a cross between Friday the 13th and the Goonies, and
Oh,
it
cool.
takes place at a summer camp. I can't say anything else, but I've been cast,
Okay.
and so I'm excited to do more horror films when I wasn't at all interested before. Like, I mean, I wasn't, as an actor, you don't really have that much of a
Sure.
choice.
Yeah.
I'll take anything that comes down the pike. Um, but when people, producers and writers and directors see you in horror films, that you tend to do more of those and
Yeah.
stay in that genre, um,
Yeah.
which is interesting.
Awesome. Well, again, that makes us happy because we love the genre. We're always all about it, and so to see you in more horror, I'm sure that's going to make our
Yeah,
audience
I
even
hope
more
so.
happy to hear that. And that sounds like a very promising film coming up. That just that little one liner you gave. So we'll definitely be
Yes,
looking forward to that one. That sounds like
it's a
that's going to be
great
up our
script.
alley too. Awesome.
Cool. Well, I will keep you posted on stuff.
Excellent, excellent. We'll be following along. We follow you on Instagram, and everybody should if they don't already. And we'll let
Yes,
them know
Candice
about these
Rose is
upcoming.
busy.
There you go, there you go. And we'll put that down below too. Candice Rose
Sounds
is
good.
busy on Instagram. Awesome.
Awesome.
Well, this has
Well, thank
been
you again for
just
the
great
support.
getting to know
Yes,
you and talking to you and getting all these cool stories from all these great different cinematic universes that we're such huge fans of.
so
And
neat.
now you're locked in. You're part of all of them now. So it probably won't be the last time we see your work in them. And I was going to say with Marvel especially, they have a history of taking some seemingly small characters from
They
like
do.
10 years ago or 5 years ago, and sometimes they'll bring them back and all of a
They
sudden
do.
they're way more important than anybody realized. So you never know with that one or with any of them for that matter.
And that's one of the things I love about acting in this
Yeah,
career. I love the unknown.
yeah.
I love that I could, you know, wake up on Monday morning and have booked a job, or, you never know.
Yeah.
And then to see the projects that you didn't book, and to see the actors that booked them, and the different ways that they just made the choices, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to what your choices were. So the unknowns of this career are exciting, and nothing is guaranteed. So if you're a real planner, it's not a good career for you if you need to know what's going on, because as an actor, you're kind of at the bottom of the totem pole and you don't have a
Mm-hmm.
lot of control. But when you become a producer, which I just became, you do have more of a creative choice, and
Mm-hmm.
and so that's fun. But anyway,
Awesome. Well, I'm sure there's only going to be more good things coming down the road, and again,
thanks.
we'll be looking forward to all of it. Yeah, this has been awesome. And now as we're recording this, it's kind of officially Halloween season. It's almost Labor Day as we're recording this. I think for us, it's always Halloween, but even for people that aren't us, they're starting to see the decorations and accept that it is the Halloween season. But anyway, we always wrap up regardless by saying Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween to you as well. And to everyone watching. Thank you so much for your support. It means the world.